Hello, the Sage Renegade here, back with you again. So you finally made up your mind, and this time you fully lost it and you want to run a marathon. Well, you come to the right channel. So right now we're in training season for the LA Marathon. And if you're one of those people who wants to try it for the first time, or who has done it before and you're still not sure and you want to try it next year again, well, this video I'll break down some tips on how to get about it. Now, the first thing to get out of the way is if you have a run club around your area, join that run club. Most of them around this time have training going on, and that'll make it easier for you. You can take the thinking out of it and you just follow their program, and that should carry you through the marathon. The second tip I can give you is that if you don't want to join a run club and you just want, like, okay, well, can I get a plan somewhere and I'll do it myself? Yes, you can. Something like Nike Run Club will have a training calendar for you for what you will need for the marathon. Now, maybe both of those things don't work for you and you just want to come up with your own plan, and you say, hey, how can I come up with my own plan? I've already done a marathon. I know what it takes, so I need my own plan. Well, here's some advice I can give you if you want to start your own plan. Start with the end in mind. If you know where you want to get to, then it's easier to get there. Start with the goal in mind. What do we know so far? We know that a marathon is 26.2 miles. We know it's the LA Marathon. Okay, so you kind of know the terrain, you know all that. Now, we also know that the LA Marathon from today is about just shy of 17 weeks. 17 weeks. Now, when you're training for a marathon, the one thing you must understand is that you do your training, you ramp it all up, and then you taper. And the taper, I say 2 weeks is good and is a good taper. You want to have about 2 weeks of recovery. That's because you want to run your marathon fresh. You want your body to recover enough so that you can be fresh on race day. Now, if you can have enough time to taper, that's even better. Then you just ramp down. So assuming you're going to do a 2 weeks taper, then we are 17 weeks away from the marathon. That means that you have 15 weeks to ramp up before you start tapering back down. And having that in mind, the other thing that is crucial here is that for most marathon training, you will not need to run the full 26.2 mile in your training. You just need to run about 18. Sometimes some people go up 16, but about 18 miles, you should be fine. If you've run that distance, you'll be able to finish a marathon if you train properly and only run 18. If you can get to 22 or anything like that, that is up to you. Now, how far you get will depend on how many times you can run, how quickly you recover. So to break those down real quick is I start from the end and I work my way backward to today. So 17 weeks, I know I have 2 weeks taper. That means I only have 15 weeks. So at 15 weeks, I need to be at about my max distance, which is, in this case, let's say 18 miles. Then I work my way backwards, 18 miles to today, and that will determine what my longest runs will be. And I can choose which day is best for those long runs. And a marathon would be a long run too, right? So now we know that at week 15 from today, we're going to do 18 miles, long run. Now, let's talk about progression. Progression, I would advise not to do more than 10% a week. Not do more than 10% a week. That's your weekly volume. So assuming your longest run is 18 miles, you want to decrease that by 10% week by week to today. So you do the math and you will see where that leads to. The other thing is you want to have several types of run in your training. For me, I have one of the runs that is basically a tempo run. It's like a work run. Like I go out there and I run, get my heart rate high. The other runs are very chill run, low impact. I have my recovery run, and then I have my just casual run. So my long run being one of those. Basically, you want to have an 80-20 split. That's the best one I've seen out there. That's what has worked for me. 80-20 split. That means you're running 20% of the time. You're running at that pace that you're trying to reach. If there's a pace you're trying to reach, 20% of your training volume in a week, you're getting close to that. And the other 80%, you try to run it at a slower pace, zone 2 pace, because with a marathon training, what you're going for is the distance. You're not going for the speed. So you need your body to build enough endurance to sustain you beating it up for 26.2 miles. That's the biggest part. The other thing is you want to train your mind, because a marathon training is very mental. It's very mental. It's going to take a toll on your mind, but it's going to be good for you ultimately. So let's recap real quick. You want to start with the goal in mind, which is 26.2 miles. You know how much time you have between now and the marathon. And you know that whatever time you have is minus 2 weeks at least to taper down. And then from there, you're going to work your way back. And you want to increase from today to that time. You want to increase your progression by 10%. And that 10%, by the way, is either speed, depending on if you're trying to hit a certain time, if you've run a marathon before, or it's distance. You don't want to do both, which means the weeks that you increase your speed, don't increase your distance. The week that you increase your distance, don't increase your speed. Stay at the same speed. Another thing that I learned the hard way is that our cardio adapts faster than our body can, which means you're probably going to get much fitter and are able to run faster, longer than your body can handle. You want to stay away from that. You want to pull back a little bit so that you can make it to the end of the marathon. That being said, the last thing I want to tell you is that how many times a week can you dedicate running? How many times can you split this run? Some of your longest runs, you can also split them into 2 runs a day. It's all up to you what works for you. But in general, you want to keep the distance you're running in mind. You want to keep your progression in mind. You want to keep recovery in mind. Make sure you recover. Make sure you stretch. Make sure you dial in your nutrition. Nutrition is going to be a very important thing. But as far as the training goes, this is a little bit of a breakdown of what it might look like if you were to start a marathon training. So let me know if this video was helpful. Let me know in the comment below if you're going to run a marathon. Which marathon? Are you running a LA marathon? Maybe we'll see you there. And share, subscribe, like the video, comment. It helps us with the algorithm. And I'll see you in the next video.